So welcome back to another video on the channel. Now in this video, I'm kind of going to show you everything. I'm going to pull back the curtain on literally everything that I do at Backend Consulting in regards to client acquisition. Now, the reason I basically just want to give away the farm, I'm pretty much going to show you inside my Zapier account, inside my active campaign. I'm going to show you my email flows. I'm going to show you my funnel. I'm going to show you everything. Now, the reason being, I want to be very, very upfront and transparent with you. The reason I'm going to pretty much give everything away in this video is because I actually want you to sign 5,000 to 6,000 per month clients from this video. And the reason I want you to be able to do that is obviously so you can increase your agency, you can ramp up your agency, get a couple extra higher ticket clients for your agency, but also, as I say, I want to be very open. I want to be very transparent with you. And it's so that you'll probably think and hopefully think, wow, this dude's free YouTube video just made me an extra 10, 15K a month to my bottom line. It just literally added an extra 10, 15K MRR. Imagine what his high level program, Centurion Agency, imagine what that's like. And as I say, hopefully at that point, that's when you'll go ahead and book in a call, which by the way, if you're interested, straight up, go ahead, click the first link in the description. It's going to take you to the booking page. You can schedule in a call with myself and we'll go through, we'll break down your agency. Yes, it's a sales call for Centurion Agency, but it's also not. Like, I just want to pretty much break down, pull back the curtain on your entire agency, see where the issues are and, fix them. Whether you decide to join Centurion Agency or not, I want to help you fix your issues with your agency. So go ahead and do that. But as I say, if you're able to sign a couple extra 5,000 to 6,000 per month clients as a direct result of this video, I'm sure at that point you'd be a lot more open to joining Centurion Agency itself. And obviously that's when we'll get you inside. And pretty much once you join Centurion Agency, hitting 100,000 a month becomes very, very easy. It becomes very, very achievable. And it becomes very, very easy to hit 100,000 a month because of what we're going to go through inside of this YouTube video. So as I say, I'm going to give everything away. I'm pretty much going to show you everything because of the reasons I just mentioned. And with that being said, let's jump straight in. Now, as always, guys, just before we do move forward, please go ahead, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. You guys know it hugely helps out. And I don't think anybody else is putting this type of content out on YouTube for free. Now, I don't like saying type of value because value is very hollow and it's like most people say, oh, it's so valuable and you're giving so much value when you're actually not. You're just subtly flexing. Whereas in this video, I'm going to show you everything. I'm pulling back the curtain on everything, right? It's genuine stuff. It's genuinely getting me booked it's getting me a ridiculous amount of meetings each week. And it's because, as I say, of what I'm going to go through. So all I ask in return is you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. So look, without further ado, I want to jump straight in. So I'm going to walk you through a lot in this video. And I want to start off with this gravity visualized YouTube video right here. I highly recommend you actually go ahead and watch it. Just literally plug it in on YouTube. It will come up. And I think it's a really, really good, it gives you a really, really good understanding of the ideas behind how I go about client acquisition. So, imagine this huge weight in the middle, right? Obviously, this different type of mass and whatnot. Now, guys, I'm not any type of flipping scientist or anything like that, okay? That's not me. So if I say some words wrong or whatever, don't hit me up in the comments, right? I'm not a physicist or whatever you'd call these people. However, in saying that, this concept hugely applies to client acquisition. So imagine this mass right here in the middle is the heaviest mass. Now what's going to happen is he's going to throw a couple marbles around the outside of it, and it's basically replicating space and gravity and how it all works, right? Now just think of this mass here as your funnel, right? And at the very, very bottom of the funnel, there's a book call, right? And imagine what he's going to throw around, the marbles that he's going to throw around. Imagine those as clients. Now what you're about to see is exactly the reason why I'm able to ramp up so quickly and have so many sales calls each and every week and sign on clients. And it's the exact same reason as to why so many Centurion Agency students are doing the exact same thing. It's because of this right here. So just check this out, right? He's gonna throw them around. Now, as I say, these marbles that he's throwing around, imagine those as clients. So every time he throws in new marbles, that's a new client entering the funnel, right? Or entering your sales process overall, whether it's just, that could literally be an email. So every time he throws one marble in, that could be just you sending out one email. Now, again, because, and there's a lot more that goes into it, but you get the idea, right? That huge mass there in the middle is your sales funnel. right? It's your sales funnel. I'm going to get into here in a minute, like all this stuff in the back end and the Zaps and active campaign and whatnot. But just understand that concept, that's the funnel. Every time he throws in marbles, that's clients entering. And then watch what will happen at the very end, right? They go around, they go around, they go around. And at the very end, what happens, right? They get sucked in. Now, I don't like saying, I'm not a fan of saying sucked in because it sounds very deceiving. It sounds very manipulative, right? And obviously that's not what we're doing, but it's a good word to describe kind of what's happening, right? They're going round, they're going round, they're going round. As I said before, what happens at the very bottom of the funnel is there's a book call. And that's what happens. They keep going around, they keep going around until finally, bang, they stop. And that you know, they're in the funnel. That's them done, they're locked in, and they're a book call. That's a really, really good way to explain what I'm about to show you here. So obviously, a lot of you guys would have seen my funnel, right? It's a pretty comprehensive funnel. Obviously, it's all structured in a specific way and whatnot, and I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I do want to walk you through the overarching idea of it. So this is the homepage, right? Oh, first of all, this is a pop-up, right? And this basically captures leads. And again, this is where what I was talking about before in terms of, you know, they get slowly but surely sucked in. So as somebody, you know, enters in their info here, well, what's going to happen is they're going to go into this email automation in the back end. So when a contact subscribes to the 250K MRR Ecom Action Flow pop-up, they go into this automation, they get sent the email with the resource, it waits 1 day, and then they enter in my 31-day funnel opt-in automation. Now that's this big automation here, right? Now, as I say, this is basically when they get sent this email and they get sent this email and they get sent this email, you know, and this resource here, what's happening is they're getting closer, right? You know, when he throws it around, right? That's them getting closer. So at this point, they're up here, right? They're pretty far out from the funnel. And maybe that's when they get the first email. So they just get this email, you know, and they're sat out here, right? They're pretty, as I say, far out from the funnel, from the kind of the ideal goal. Well, that's okay, because 1 day later, they're going to enter this automation and then they'll get sent this email, right? They'll get sent this email. And that's when they'll go, you know, a little bit closer, right? They'll go a little bit closer. And then, so maybe now they're only out here. So now it's slightly closer, right? But then that's fine, because 1 hour later, they'll get sent this email. And then 4 hours later, they'll get sent this email. Then 4 hours, this email, 12 hours, this email, right? And then by that point, they get closer and closer, right? And now they're almost there. They're almost there, right? So now maybe a couple more emails get sent, and maybe now they'll get sent this email, for example. And then that's the point in which they take the desired action of booking the call, right? So I hope that makes sense. First things first, I know it's a little bit confusing that it's like kind of gravity and how does that, you know, tie in with, you know, signing clients, but I hope you can kind of see how that works. Now that's just one acquisition method, right? And as I say, that's just from one way. That's just from them coming into the funnel, right? Coming to my homepage, this pop-up appears, they fill it in, and they go through that process we just spoke about, right? That we just walked through. Now, that's just one way. And that happened from the first email in this example, right? So if we come into here, that's just them, right? Receiving email one, right? And, you know, the funnel's down here. This is the funnel, big funnel, right? And email one, and that was them kind of going around and around and around, and they got sucked in. Just from email one. And that's not with email 2, email 3, email 4 in the back end, right? That's just from the first email, just this one right here, right? That's not including content marketing. That's not including paid ads, right? That's not including organic traffic. So, you know, when you start to add all of these methods of client acquisition and outreach and, you know, touch points, the initial touch point, getting people into your funnel, once you start adding all of those in place, right? There's another section in this video that I want to show you because this is kind of what happens, right? So as I say, that was just one marble through one email, right? Just this one email right here, email one. Right, in the sequence. You could even broaden it out and look at the entire email, you know, the outbound prospecting sequence as a whole, right? So you've got, you know, your 4-part email sequence, your 5-part email sequence, your 6-part email sequence. But even at that point, it's just one acquisition method, right? You've still got your paid ads. You still got your, you know, your content marketing, right? You've still got your inbound traffic, right? There's so many other methods. And when you add, you know, when you start to combine all of these and you have this force that just sucks people in, right? And again, I don't like to use that language because it seems a little bit, deceptive and whatnot, but it's not, and you guys get the point that it's not, right? But that's kind of what's happening. When you have that and you build this right here, everybody's always looking at these areas, right? Everybody's always looking at these areas at the top. They're like, oh, what, how can I make my emails better? How can I, what should I put in my follow-up email? That's the most common questions I get. What should I put in my follow-up emails? What should my email 2 look like? What should my email 3 look like? And it's like, yeah, that's important. And yeah, you need to have good emails to spark that, that initial interaction. And then from there, that's when they're going to take action. That's when they're going to click over to your funnel, click over to your website, whatever it is. But that's not that important. What's important is this right here. It's the funnel, right? So for example, if this weight here, right? If this weight, which bear in mind is your overall funnel, if this weight isn't as heavy as it is in this instance in this video, if it was like, 50% lighter or 70% lighter, then those marbles won't get in, first of all, nowhere near as quick. And if it's the same weight, then they're not going to go anywhere. They're never going to get to the book call. Now, that's the biggest issue that I see amongst agency owners today, is that there's no weight to their sales funnel. So it's not sucking people in. People aren't going towards it. People kind of either rolling away from it, right? Or they're just kind of, on the same level and they're just not going over there because there's nothing, sucking them in. Whereas when you make that weight in this instance as it is, you can see it's tremendously heavy. It's going to get people in. It's going to suck people in. It's going to sell them and it's going to get them on the call. That's what's going to happen every single time, right? Every single time. It's going to sell people on the call. And then on the call, you sell people on your service. It's as simple as that. Now, going back to my original point, right? So that was just, outbound prospecting, or to be honest, it was just email one. Now, what happens when we have, outbound prospecting down pat? We have advertising down pat. We have, inbound down pat and organic content marketing and all this stuff, right? And we send people to the funnel and it just sucks them in. Well, now what's going to happen is something like this is going to happen, right? So you got all these areas and now watch what's going to happen, right? All these, remember the marbles are, potential prospects. They all get sucked in, as you can see, right? And eventually, some take longer. That's the other thing you got to realize, is that some, need more touch points. Okay. And I'm going to get into here in a minute, how really just these email flows here are just like one small part of the process. There's a multitude of other things that I'm going to touch on here in a minute. I'm going to go into my Zapier. I'm going to go into my ad library and whatnot, but just know, that's just one method of following up and whatnot. But some prospects, and this is why, to be honest, gravity and this entire idea here is so apt to client acquisition, because some prospects are going to go straight in. You're going to go straight to the book call, right? And as you can see here, that happened, right? Some of the marbles, which again are prospects, go straight in. Look, right? You can see a bunch just fell in straight there. Look, you can see there's a whole heap in there already, because that's what happens. Some prospects will just see your email one. I see this happen all the time. We send one email and they just hit the book call link, because in my emails, I basically have, I'm going to explain this here in a minute as well. I basically have my book call link and I have a link to my sales page, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And some people just hit straight on the book call link from email one and they go straight to the scheduling page and they book. That's it. And I hop on a call, and 40% of the time, 35 to 40% of the time, I close them. That's it, done. Now, other prospects, as you can see, all the ones out here, they need a little bit more, they need a bit more force. You see, a couple out here, they need a bit more force. They need a bit more force over the course of a couple months. And then eventually, because again, the weight is so much, it's going to eventually suck them in. However, if you don't have those back-end systems in place, then all of these prospects, if you don't have those back-end systems in place, the only prospects that you're going to capture, right, is, again, let's just wait for him to throw this, right? So the only prospects that you're going to capture, if you don't have those back-end prospects in place, systems in place, is those like one or two that just fell in there, right? You're going to capture those one or two because, all you need to do in that instance is just send one email and they book straight away. That's it, done. You've locked them in. And that's all well and good. You've secured those clients in there. They've already fell in. But if you don't have these back-end systems in place, you don't have, automations like this set up. You don't have, as I say, I'm going to get into my Zaps here in a minute. You don't have these Zaps set up. You don't have an effective funnel that sucks people in, right? If we go to the sales page, this is actually the page that I link to in my email. So, some come here and then some go to my booked call page or my booking page, which is just like the apply now page, right? If you don't have this stuff set up, right? all of this stuff, right? And by the way, this is created in a specific way. This follows an underlying sales process, which is what gets people or clients to, you know, sign on board. This is what creates the weight, right? As I said before, if this weight isn't that heavy, then it's not going to work, right? Because nobody's going to be attracted to it. So the underlying sales process that this basically encompasses, and again, this is the concepts that we go through in Centurion Agency. This is why in your Centurion Agency, the least of your worries is getting book calls, because this just sucks people in. Sucks your ideal prospects in, or your ideal clients, I should say, in, right? And then they book in a call. That's it, done. Now, as I say, if you don't have these back-end systems in place, then as I mentioned before, you're going to capture the 1 or 2 book calls that are going to go straight to it, and they're just, you know, they're going to book. But guess what? You're not going to capture any of these outside. And really, this is where the money's made, right? Because you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, there's 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, depending on, you know, the scale of your client acquisition efforts and whatnot. There's literally hundreds of sales calls that you're leaving on the table because you don't have these back-end systems in place. And to be honest, as I say, it's in the back end that, you know, that's where all the money's made. Yeah, you can get a couple book calls from your, you know, just your initial email, just from this email one. You get a couple book calls, 100%, but you're not going to get all of it. Whereas when you get all of it, guess what happens? Slowly but surely starts to pile up. People get sucked in, as you can see. You know, as I say, some will need more touch points, some will need more selling, and that's completely fine. But eventually, slowly but surely, right, everybody goes in. Everybody books in a call. And, you know, as I say, 30 to 40% of the time, ideally it should be 40% of the time, you close the clients. That's how you ramp. That's how you get clients at scale. That's how you get to 100,000 a month. That's why, as I said before, it's not that hard to get to 100,000 a month. You just need to have the right things in place. Okay. Now I want to walk you through a couple of my Zaps here. So this is Zapier, for those of you who don't know. And I'm not going to go too technical because this stuff is very, very technical. Obviously, if you're in Centurion Agency, you guys get these all plug and play straight into your Zapier account. It's the same with these email flows and whatnot. It goes very, very technical. Things are set up in a correct way. Obviously, you can see these emails, you know, there's a bit of content to them. And again, all of these emails are structured using that underlying sales process, right? There's an underlying sales process that sells clients. No matter what, it's that sales process that sells clients. Now, the way that you express that sales process is what changes. So in this instance, I've expressed it in a long form email. In this instance, I've expressed it in a long form written sales page, right? In this instance at the top, it's in a 60-minute video. Right? So it's one underlying process that just works, that converts. The way that you express it is what differentiates from medium to medium, right? Or from medium to median, all that changes is the way that you express that underlying sales process. But the foundations are the same. And again, this is why Centurion Agency is so powerful, because there's 12 modules in 1 week, right? In week 3, there's a week called Crafting Your Assets. And in that 1 week, that's where I explain this underlying sales process. And in that 1 week, there's 12 modules explaining this sales process, because once you understand it, getting clients on board is so easy. It's so easy because it works, right? So as I say, I'm not going to go too technical. However, these are some Zaps that I've got set up. You can see there's quite a lot, but the main ones is this one right here, okay, which is the 250,000 MRR resource, which is obviously the pop-up that is on this page. So when somebody opts into this resource, right, they put in their info, then what's going to happen is Zapier is going to detect a new contact in ClickFunnels, and I've got it set up where it's on that specific page, right? So as you can see here, you know, funnel, Backend Consulting, master funnel, funnel step is the homepage. Obviously, this is the homepage, right? Now, bear in mind, again, if you're inside the Centurion Agency, you get access, you know, this entire Backend Consulting master sales funnel, it's completely plug and play straight to your ClickFunnels account with literally 1 click, right? So when that when Zapier detects that new contact, then it's going to create or update a contact in ActiveCampaign. So set up the action again. As you can see, right? As you can see here, list is a 250,000 a month e-com action flow, which is this list, right? So it's going to automatically inject this contact inside of this list. And then when somebody goes into that list, right, contact subscribes to that list, it's the same list, then they automatically get put into this email flow, right? And then another thing that we do as well is we send a channel message in Slack. Okay, that's pretty, this is pretty easy to see and whatnot. So, we've got a channel, it's called leads. And now every time a lead opts into the 250K resource, then you can see we get this message text inside of Slack, and that enables us to follow up and whatnot with the specific contact. So again, it creates these automations. These automations are so powerful because again, if they are not in place, right? If these automations are not in place, then you're going to miss all of these leads, because there's nothing sucking them in. This weight is nowhere near as heavy when all these things aren't in place. So you may get one or two that go straight to it. That's okay. But the money's made collecting everything. And that's what this does. And it enables you to do it in a way that's basically automated, right? It's basically automated. And it's even in the book call. So this is another Zap that we've got set up, which is for when somebody books in a call. So another really important concept to understand is that when a prospect books in a call, your job of sales is not over, because up until a prospect books in a call, right, you got to sell them on booking the call, right? That's what you got to do. You got to sell them on booking the call. Now, once they've booked the call, do not think, or don't sit back and think, oh, cool, my job's done, they're booked in the call. Because now what you got to sell them on is to show up to the call, right? And then we've got an entire another, as you can see in here, right? This goes pretty, we've got some like webhooks here and whatnot. It goes pretty in depth, but I want to show you this section here, which is the list again, right? So you got the list. Yeah, as I say, the list before was going into this list. And then once somebody subscribes to this list, they go into this email flow. But I've got another list, which is Backend Consulting book call, where there's an entire another email flow. That's to sell prospects who booked a call on actually showing up to the call, right? And then once they show up to the call, that's when you sell them on your service, and you get each of those sections down packed. And honestly, guys, it becomes very not easy. I wouldn't say easy, because to set this stuff up, if you do this stuff on your own, it's going to take you months and months and months and months. I can guarantee you that if you try to set all of this stuff up on your own. For example, for those of you in Centurion Agency, it's a lot easier because everything's push button, everything's imported straight into your own account, so you can just pretty much run. But as I mentioned before, you're able to then start to book in sales calls very efficiently, very effectively. You're able to start to really eke out the maximum amount of effectiveness from your efforts as well. So for example, your email outreach, if you're sending 100 emails, ideally you should be booking 3 sales calls from that 100 emails sent. Right? Now, if you're only booking 1 sales call from 100 emails, then you've got to send 300 emails to get the same result of a 3% meeting book rate, which is what a system of this nature can produce. I know it can produce it because I'm doing it. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say you want to try and eke out as much efficiency and effectiveness as possible from your sales process. Getting these things set up is how you do that. Capturing all of these leads here, all of these prospects, capturing every single one of them is going to be far more effective for you than however many here. Say, for example, there's 100 marbles here, which means there's 100 prospects. Now, if you're to only capture one of them, then you've got to throw in another 100, right? And then after that, you'll capture one more, and then you've got to throw in another 100. Now, the issue with that, the issue with that is that you could just capture 3 of them directly from here, and then you throw in another 100, and then you'll capture another 3, right? So then in that instance, you're up 30% on your client acquisition than you would be if you didn't eke out as much as you possibly can, okay? I hope that makes sense, because it's super important. And as I say, this is how you get to 100,000 a month with your agency with ease as well. That's something else, right? With ease. Okay, now the last thing that I want to go through, because to be honest, all of that stuff was just through email marketing. That was just one little section of what we went through. That was just email marketing itself. You've also got a bunch of other mediums such as retargeting. So with your outbound prospecting and whatnot, everybody who goes to your website. So let's say, for example, they don't even opt into this. Because we've got so many different contingency plans in place, it doesn't really matter that much. Now on this pop-up, by the way, I've got anywhere from a 35 to 40% conversion rate. So 35 to 40 people out of every 100 that comes to the website or comes to my backendconsulting.com, they opt into this. So I capture 35 to 40 people out of every 100 that come to my site. Okay, now the other thing about this as well, which is a little bit of a side note, is that this pretty much guarantees that you're going to get correct emails and correct names and whatnot, because I send here, right? I say here, we'll send a full breakdown of the action flow to your email inbox. So if somebody puts in a fake, which can be an issue with opt-in pages and whatnot, if somebody puts in a fake, they're not going to get it, right? So you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get real email addresses, real names. Now, another thing that I want to mention as well on top of that, I've basically got Zaps set up. I've got automation set up so that I pretty much remove anybody who has bad data. So as you can see here, bad data VSL opt-in. So if somebody opts in and they give me bad data, they're going to get booted, they're going to get moved. And I also update it inside of Close, which is my CRM. Again, I don't want to go too technical, but I do want to show you this stuff because it's super, super important. Right? So new campaign bounce in active campaign. So obviously if somebody puts in a bad email, then this first email that's going to get sent, it's going to bounce because it's not a real email, and that happens, whatever, it's fine. So it's whatever, you can't, there's not really any way to 100% combat it unless you say stuff like this, where you send it to the inbox. This, we get near 100% correct emails with this. However, with like a general opt-in page, something like this, if we go to .com/1 million to 5 million, this opt-in page, to be honest, it doesn't matter what email they put in. If, as I say, it doesn't matter what email they put in, they're going to go to the free training, sales page, etc. right? So what we basically do then is, you don't want to keep those emails inside of your, you don't want to keep those emails and keep emailing them inside of your email automations and whatnot, because what's going to happen is obviously it bounces, so there's no point, but also your email health itself is going to get really, really affected. And that's when, you start to go into spam, and then your open rates start to really, really decrease, right, on your email automations. And then that's when this doesn't really become that effective because nobody's reading the emails anyway. So you want to, you want to boot them. Now you can do that inside of Active Campaign, which is all nice and, easy and whatnot, but you also want to update, you want to find or create that lead in Close, right? Most of the time you're going to find the lead, and then you want to update that lead. Okay, you want to update the lead in Close and kick it out. You don't want that in your ecosystem. Okay, because if you've got 10,000 leads and only 5,000 of them are good leads, then you're not only are you paying for that extra 5,000 leads that have bad data, but you're wasting your time with it. And as I say, it's going to severely hurt your deliverability rates, your email health, and also your appointment setters are going to be emailing 5,000 leads every single whatever, and nobody's going to be reading it, right? Because it's just bouncing. So you want to make sure that you boot those leads out of your system. You can do it through Zapier, as I've got this Zap set up here. Again, if you're in Centurion Agency, all of this stuff is push button straight into your account, and yeah, you've got it. And I've also got one, bad data scheduled sales call. So if they go directly to my booking page, as you can see here, they go directly to my booking page and they put in bad info, they put in bad data, well, that's fine again, because I am going to boot them and I'm going to cancel the call as well. Inside of Calendly. Now, one final point that I want to touch on back to this video, because I think it's a really, really good video. As I said before, right? These marbles, again, as we know, are prospects. Now, some prospects are going to go straight to the wait. Some prospects are going to go straight to the book call. Okay. Now, some prospects are going to take a little bit longer, right? And that's where they'll get hooked into this automation. Now, an issue with this automation, I mean, you can make it as long as you want, but I found 31 days to be a really good time frame. But at the end of the day, it is only 31 days. So what's going to happen with these prospects, right? Maybe, everybody who's already booked, all these people, right? They've gone in. And now, that was all through this email automation in the back end, whatever it is. Now, what about these couple extra prospects? Because again, we want to be picking these people up. We've made the effort to reach out to these brands. And just because these brands haven't, or these prospects haven't booked in a call yet, doesn't mean to say that they're not interested. These prospects probably just require a bit of extra touch points. They need a bit more selling. They need a bit more convincing. They need a bit more time. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, right? If it's 32 days, it's been 32 days since, he threw the marbles in, since they entered in our overarching sales flow. Right? It's been 32 days. Well, that's an issue because now they're not going to receive any more emails through our automations. We've got appointment setters who run through lists in Close, and that's an entirely different section. We have a working book call list. So that's basically that's just a list that we run through. When they reply, they go into a different list. So our, the appointment setters can just run through that list, and it's all set up in a different way. But through our automations, they're not going to get anything. They're not going to get any more touch points. However, these prospects need a couple extra touch points. It's taking them a bit longer. Well, again, that's where our retargeting comes in. You can retarget people up to 180 days. Now, if they keep going back to the website, they keep opting in, whatever it is, then they're going to get touch points and touch points and touch points, right? And then every single time they go on to any sort of social media, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, they are going to see our ads and they're going to get touched and they're going to touch and touch and touch. And all of a sudden, after a bit more time, right? Because we've got all of these different things in place, bit more time, ads are running, very, very well constructed ads as well, by the way. There's no point running terrible ads because it's not going to do anything. You know, if you run terrible ads, then that weight, again, is not going to be strong whatsoever, and it's not going to suck people in. Your ads have to be constructed correctly. And again, going back to my original point of like the underlying sales process, this is just a different medium. Advertising is just a different medium for you to express that underlying sales process. Again, when you understand that underlying sales process, you know how it's structured, you as I say, you understand deeply, then all you need to do at that point is just change the way you express it depending on what medium you are leveraging. So for example, emails, that underlying process is evident. It's just that you express it in a slightly different way than you would with a retargeting ad. And then, you know, like for example, this is pretty long, right? Now, this retargeting ad is expressed a slightly different way than a cold ad would be expressed, or an email would be expressed, or a video would be expressed, right? A piece of content, right? This is 60 minutes. A 5-minute video, again, still follows that underlying process. It's just expressed in a slightly different way. Okay, so that's super, super important to know and keep in mind. The underlying sales process, and again, this is why Centurion Agency is so powerful, because that underlying process is, you know, there's so much emphasis put on it, because to be honest, once you understand that, everything else is kind of, you know, just second nature at that point, right? Because again, it's just the way that you express that underlying sales process. And once you get all these automations set up and in place and whatnot, then guess what? You are going to capture every single lead, and that's where you're going to start to hit your meeting book rates. Okay, you're going to start to be able to ramp very, very quickly, because you're eking out as much efficiency and effectiveness as possible from your outbound prospecting efforts, from your outreach efforts, from your content marketing efforts, from your advertising efforts, right? If you're leaking so many book calls, so many potential clients, you can't scale, right? You can't scale, because to be honest, the more water that you pour into a bucket that's got a hole in it doesn't mean to say that you're going to capture more water, because it's just all going to keep pouring out. It's going to keep falling through, right? Whereas when you plug those holes, then the more water you pour in it, the more water you're going to have, right? When you plug the holes in this, you know, the overarching client acquisition process and the system that we've got set up, when you plug those holes and then you scale, then you pour more in the top end, you throw more marbles onto it, right? In this instance, you throw more marbles into the sales funnel, meaning you inject more prospects, then you're going to have more clients. You're going to be able to scale in a very efficient and effective manner. Whereas if you have a weight that isn't that heavy, then as I say, again, it doesn't matter how many prospects you throw in, doesn't matter how many touch points you have, doesn't matter how many emails you send. If nobody is getting sucked in, nobody's booking in a call, nobody's, you know, doing the things that you want them to do, doesn't matter how many prospects you throw in at the top end, nothing's going to work. So you need to plug those holes, then you need to scale. When you do, as I said before, hitting 100,000 a month becomes very, very, very achievable. So again, if you're interested in Centurion Agency is not for agencies who are below 5,000 a month, right? If you're below 5,000 a month, Quantum Leap Ecom Agency is your best bet. That's my lower level program that takes people from 0 to 10,000 a month in full transparency. It's taking people from 10,000 to 20,000, 10,000 to 30,000, 15,000 to 40,000. It's done that, but I really built it for 0 to 10,000. Now, Centurion Agency takes agency owners who are between, you know, anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 20, up to like 30,000 a month. Agency owners in that range, we take them and turn them into 100,000 a month agency owners, into 7-figure agency owners, and obviously even more than that as well, right? Now, it's all because of this stuff right here. Now, this is just one aspect of the program, okay? This is, you know, just the client acquisition side. There's obviously team building and there's a bunch of other stuff. But as I say, if you're interested, then go ahead, book in your call below. It's going to take you to a scheduling page. You'll be able to book in directly with myself. I'll walk you through Centurion Agency. We'll kind of see where the issues are within your agency. If I don't believe I can help, then I'm just not going to bring you on board as a customer. I don't believe in that. So that's why I always like to dig deep, see where your specific issues are. And as I say, way, at that point, if I can see that I can help, I'll show you what we have to offer, and you can make your decision as to whether you want to come on board as a customer or not. Either way, it's completely fine, but I do implore you to go ahead and book in your call, because as I say, I mean, I've mentioned this in previous videos, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, and then those who have had a call after me mentioning that in the videos have literally said, I can completely understand why people originally said that. And what that was is that people have literally wanted to give me a testimonial from the call, not for the program, from just the call itself, just the call that you can book in below via the scheduling link, the first link in the description. Just from that call, they've wanted to give me a testimonial. And just from that call, they've said that it's been more helpful, it's been more effective than some of the masterminds they're in, right? So if I was you, and you are making more than $5,000 a month with your agency, I'd recommend you go ahead and book in that call, because it may be one of the best decisions you make. And that's not even including you joining Centurion Agency, okay? So overall, I'm very excited to speak with you on our Centurion Agency call. And with that being said, I also want to mention, I hope deeply that you was able to find some value in this video in and of itself. And I hope you were able to start to sign a lot more clients, a lot more consistently, and on a much higher ticket level as well. And if you did, as always, find value, go ahead, smash the like button, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. You will not regret it. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.